Hi there, this is Alana from Alana Lee Photography. Today I'm going to share with you how to change the color of clothing in a client's image. Our example image today comes from Rebecca Shepard, a portrait photographer from Parsons, Kansas. In this image, her client would have rather preferred that the dresses were navy blue to match other images in their collection. We have a few challenges with this particular image. Because the dresses are red, they've created a color cast. So we're not only going to be changing the color of the dresses here to a navy blue, but we also have to deal with the color cast that shows. You can see some here on the white couch, again on the couch between the individuals. There's some color cast on the dad's shirt, his pants, and of course on the skin, where the red, bright red from the dresses is reflecting onto the skin of both the daughter, over here a little bit on the dad's skin, and along the mom's arm as well. So we're going to break this down into a few different steps. There are several ways to make selections in Photoshop. One of them I'm going to demonstrate today is using this tool over here. This is the object selection tool, and it does a pretty good job of figuring out where selections are supposed to be. Now we have a few problem areas in here. Around the hair is always a difficult area to select, and in some of the other smaller areas, perhaps along the hemline here, and in some of the areas where we have some transparency in the dress itself. So we'll start by selecting our object selection tool. With this, we basically just want to draw around the areas that we want to add to our selection. So we'll get started here. We don't have to be too precise. We'll just go around and select the daughter's dress as best we can. Again, you don't have to be exact. And it has done a fairly good job at selecting this area. You can see it's missed a little spot over here and selected a little bit of the couch down here that we don't want. So we just go up to the top. We can subtract from our selection by toggling this button, or we can add to our selection by toggling this button over here. So right now we're going to just add this little bit by drawing around, quickly making our selection. We don't have to worry about it being too precise. And then we're going to subtract this little bit of couch that we didn't want. Going to toggle back to add, and we're going to continue on just doing a little bit of a rough drawing around the parts of the dress that we want it to select. Don't worry too much about the hair in these areas. We'll go in and we'll refine our selection a little bit. There's a little bit here on her arm and between the daughter and the father. Don't forget this little area down here. And that's pretty good for the daughter. We can just do a little bit of a rough selection there, and we'll add on the sections of the mom's dress. Again, just roughly drawing around to tell Photoshop approximately where you want to select, and it's going to find the edges for you. Coming down here, don't worry about the fringe at the moment. We'll go in and deal with that in a second. That's good there. We'll just add in this little bit of the shoulder piece here and the bits of the dress there. Okay, so those are the main areas of our dress that we've selected with our quick selection tool. Another way you could have gone about this is gone under selections here and selected color range, and then told Photoshop to select just the red areas. The problem with that, though, as we discussed, is there's a lot of red both in the skin tones themselves and in some of the other areas that are close by to the dresses. So you can try that, see how it works for you. I prefer this method myself. Once we have our basic selections made, we're going to go up to the top here, and we're going to choose Select and Mask, and that's going to open up a new screen and let us just refine the selections we've made already. In Select and Mask, you can choose a variety of different settings over here that will allow you to view your selection in different ways. Depending on your image, you'll find that one works better than the other. Normally I would use overlay, which gives it kind of a pink overlay and shows your selection in red. But given the nature of our image here where we're trying to select red, it really isn't that helpful to us. This time I'm going to, I think, choose on black for my helping tool here, and you can just slide your opacity of the black layer to something that works for you. Let's leave it about there at 40%. Once you're in the Select and Mask, you want to go over to our hand tool, and this is going to give you a cursor. You can see it here. You can make it larger and smaller. I want to select my brush size to be fairly small, and we're going to basically trace around the areas we want Photoshop to have a better look at. So I'd like to go around this area here, the edge of the dress where we had some transparency. Remember this little bit here that it had trouble selecting previously. That'll help it refine in there, as well under the couch. Maybe along her fingers here. We'll see what it does there. It might have some difficulties making a selection in that area because of that color cast we were talking about of the red onto the skin itself. I can see here it needs a little bit of extra help going in around her dress. Usually I'll just kind of paint along the bottoms of the fringe of the hair, and it's going to select those areas for you a little bit better than we did in our previous quick selection. Let's go over here to the mom, do the same around her areas of the hair, maybe a little bit down here. We're going to go along the fringe of her dress to see if it can pick up in between all those little bits on the fringe and this little tiny area over here as well. It's done a fairly decent job of selecting there in the corner of her arm. We'll maybe just go along here and these little bits of hair as well to make another selection there. Now everybody has their preferred settings when they're using the mask refinement tool. I like to select a radius of about 3 pixels and a toggle on the smart radius. I usually have my smooth set at about 3. I feather the edges by about half a pixel. You can sometimes play with your contrast to see if it makes a difference in the particular image you're trying to make a selection from. It depends on the contrast between the area you're selecting and the areas around it. And there's also, you can shift your edges as well. For this one, we're just going to keep them selected the way they are. Down here in your output settings, I usually select to output to a new layer with a layer mask. And you have all sorts of different choices there. So just choose the one that's most appropriate for you, but I like to put my selection onto a new layer with a layer mask. We're just going to click OK, and it's going to save our selection. And you can see over here, it's created our new layer with a layer mask. And the layer mask shows you which areas are selected and which aren't. For now, you can see that the areas that are selected are white and the areas that are not selected are black. Next, we're going to change the color of the dresses from red to a dark navy blue. The way we're going to do this is by doing a hue and saturation adjustment layer. You can make these hue and saturation adjustment layer changes by either pressing the shortcut here or calling it up from the bottom menu and clicking on hue and saturation. We're going to make sure our hue and saturation adjustment layer is below the mask that we just created, so that it only applies to the dresses and not the entire image. When you look at our hue and adjustment saturation panel, you can see you have a few different choices. You can change the color on the master image. We're just going to reset that. Or you can go down to the drop-down menu and choose what color channel you want to apply it to. Now, we already selected a mask, so we could change it with the master channel slider, but we're just going to select the reds because that will be more specific for the task that we're doing. Next, you want to move the hue slider to the color of dress that you want. As you can see, we could go into a nice chartreuse green. We could go into a hot pink, but our client wants a nice navy blue. So I'm going to bring the hue into that nice blue range, probably something about there, maybe a little bit more blue. I'm going to leave the saturation alone from now, but I'm going to move our lightness slider here, and they want a nice dark navy blue, so I'm going to bring that down probably about there. Looks good. A nice dark deep navy blue. Next, you can see that there's some sliders down at the bottom as well. These are kind of to further refine your color selections, and is what you can do is you can play with these. First, you want to play with the ones in the middle, and you're going to watch kind of around our areas where we're still seeing red, and you're just going to play with them. If you look in between there at that little portion in the couch, you can kind of see a little bit of color change there. Let's try this one here. That's pretty good, and basically you're just playing around with them. First the ones in the center, just to further refine your selection, and then the two on the outside are kind of helping the transition areas between the colors. And you're just gonna play with those again so that you can minimize the amount of red you see in the fringing on the other sides. And maybe about there. So there we go. So we've got a fairly good job of changing our reds to a nice dark navy blue. We're just going to close that adjustment panel, get that out of the way. And we can see if we toggle on our mask on and off, the changes there. Of course, we don't want it applied to the whole image, which is why we made our adjustment mask, selecting our dresses, above our hue and saturation layer. So we're going to turn that mask on, and that tells it we only want those changes to apply to that certain section of our image. Next, we have to look at some different areas that are causing us problems. You can see that there's still some red fringing here around the hair. You can see that there's this red color cast on these areas of the couch. And as well, of course, there's the red color cast from the dress on the skin areas around here, on the shirt, and on mom's skin as well. So we're going to go in and clean those up by making a few additional adjustment layers. One of the other ways we can adjust the color in our images is by using the channel mixer adjustment layer. To find the channel mixer adjustment layer, again, you have two choices. You can go down here to our bottom menu by clicking on that and selecting channel mixer, or you can go up here on the adjustments panel and choose the channel mixer icon. When you click that, it's going to add the channel mixer as an adjustment layer at the top of your layers panel. When you look at the channel mixer, you find that you have a few choices here for your output channel: red, greens, and blues. In this instance, we're interested mostly in the reds. We want to look at these areas in particular of the red fringing here around the hair on the mom as well as the daughter. And there's also a lot of red color cast from those bright red dresses on the skin in dad's shirt and on mom's skin as well. So we're going to be looking at those areas. Now, I want absolutely no red showing in those areas at all. So I'm actually going to adjust the red down to 0. Of course, that makes everything look a little bit funky, but don't worry about that for now. I want you to just look at the areas of the hair. We want to take out some of the blues and greens and bring that hair back to a nice golden color. So we're going to bring our greens up quite a bit. Let's try there for now. Again, don't worry about the rest of the image, just looking at the hair here in these areas. And we're also going to be looking at some of this. You can see there's some blue showing up here in the mom's skin and some of these other areas as well. So we're going to then take our blue adjustment slider, and in the blue channel, we're going to bring that down to take away the blue, looking at those skin tones. Maybe about there. It kind of gets them to a nice neutral place. We're just going to save that for now. Is what I want to do is I don't want to apply those color changes to the entire image, of course. So we're going to go over here, click on the mask itself. We're going to press Control or Command I to invert that mask, and it's going to hide everything. We're going to come over, we're going to select our brush, and we're going to select a white brush. White reveals, so we're going to, here, let's just get rid of that. We're going to just brush over the areas where we want to apply those changes to. So with a nice soft brush, we're set here. We've chosen a soft round brush. We can maybe adjust our flow or opacity. Let's go with flow down to about 40% now. And we'll make our brush a little bit bigger. We're just going to brush over the tips of that hair to kind of blend them in. And you see how that just takes the redness out? Maybe I'm going to move my flow down just a little bit more. And we're just going to work around those areas where we were seeing that red color cast. Let's do the hair first. Let's go over here on our girl. Do that. Side as well. I'm just softly painting that in. And you can see it's bringing back the golden tones in the hair and taking out that red color cast. We actually do want, it's giving a little bit of a blue tinge on the ends, but we kind of want to replace that red color cast with a bit of blue. That's what would naturally happen, so that's okay. Now we can try going over Dad's shirt. It makes a little bit of a difference there. You can see there's some color cast. Let's make our brush a little bit bigger. Get some of it out of there. Let's try on the couch in the back. Let's try the skin here. I'm just brushing that over the areas where we see the red color cast coming out on their skin. How about along her knees? And finally, we'll see, it gets it a little bit under there, but we're going to have to go back in and do some more adjustments on Mom's skin, I think. That gives us a good start though. maybe here on her neck a little. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, things are coming along fairly well here. You can see we created a layer mask to mask off the dresses. Next, we changed the hue and saturation of the dresses themselves to a nice deep navy blue. And then we used a channel mixer adjustment layer to get rid of the color cast on the tips of the hair as well as along some of the skin. Finally, we want to take care of these areas here. So we've got some color cast of the red on the couch itself in a few different places. You can see them all around them, and as well as some of the coloration problems here in the skin itself. And finally, on Dad's shirt, I see a little bit of red just on this sleeve here poking through. So I'm going to show you another method of adjusting color in Photoshop, and that's by applying a layer and using a blend mode. First, we want to add a new layer. Just click the plus in our bottom panel there. And this one we're going to rename to Couch. So these adjustments we're going to make on the couch to try and get rid of this red color cast here. We're going to change the blend mode of this layer all the way down to the bottom, set to color, because we're changing the color, of course. What we want to do is we want to use our nice soft brush again, and we want to choose a color on the couch that we want to use as our main color for our change. So I'm going to press Alt on my keyboard, and that gets the eyedropper, or you can go over here and just click your eyedropper tool over here. We're going to select, I think this looks like a good area of the couch, about there. There's no color cast there. It's a nice clean white, and you can see it's just selected that color there in your color panel. And then with a soft brush, flow, let's put our flow down at about 10% or so. And we're just going to brush over the couch. And you can see it's shifting there from that reddish pink color to more cool tones that match. We're just going to work around here. I'm going to make my brush size just a little smaller. You don't really have to worry so much if you get a little bit on the skin itself, because again, we're adding the cool tones here. We would expect cool tones now because we changed our dress color to something in the cool palette. Doesn't really matter if we are a little bit messy with that. So we go there, we're going to just make the brush super small here and just brush on the couch in that area between Mom and Dad. There we go. And don't forget down here in the shadows as well. Just taking out that red color cast, and there's a little bit more on the arm of the couch. And let's see, there's a little bit of pinkish red showing through where the dress is a little bit transparent. I want to take care of those as well. So that's our couch. I'll just click that on and off so you can see the difference, taking away that pink color cast and adding more of a blue tone to it. That would make more sense now that we've changed. Let's just go along there, make sure we've got all of those areas in there. Perfect. I think maybe just a little bit there as well. Great. Now let's deal with, let's work on Dad's shirt. That's the next area I see that we need to fix. So again, we're going to add a new layer. Let's call this one Dad. and we'll work on Dad for a little while here. So we want to choose a nice blue from his shirt where there's no color cast at all. Let's choose from up in his shoulder here. Again, you could select your eyedropper tool and select that nice blue color. Go back to your soft brush. Flow we'll keep at 10%, and you can just now you can see what I did there. See how it looks a little bit weird? It's because we forgot to change our blend mode from normal to color. An easy mistake. Now you can see how where we were brushing it on the sleeve has just taken out those pink tones and replaced it with the blue that we sampled from up here at his shoulder. So we're just going to continue down along his arm. Let's sample some blue from here. Just going to paint that along his shirt. And Dad's got a nice fresh blue shirt again. What about his pants? I see that maybe down here his pants are kind of yellowish gray. There's a little bit of a pink tone here, and then we've got the blue color cast coming in here. Why don't we even that out a little? So we'll just do it on the Dad layer itself. We'll just select a gray tone from down here at the front, and we'll just even out those color tones in his pants. Brushing it on. I don't mind that there's some blue here because that would naturally happen from the girl's dress and his bright blue shirt, but we'll just take that off a little bit by brushing over them with our gray tone. Perfect. You can see there's a little bit of, we've got some blue color cast on his neck from his collar, and that would naturally happen. We want to leave some of that there, but we'll just maybe sample a little bit of his pinkier skin tone from here and just slightly even out those skin tones in his neck so it's not as apparent. Perfect. So there's Dad. Just click that on and off so you can see before and after. It just takes away the color cast in both his pants and his shirt sleeve. Don't forget to go and save your work as you go. You never know what might happen. We're going to add another layer here. And who should we work on next? Let's work on Mom. Okay. Once again, we're going to change it from normal down to color mode. We're going to work on Mom's skin. You can see her skin on her neck's a little bit red here. And then we've got this kind of purpley blue tones coming in here. So we're just going to even that up a little. Let's sample her skin. Let's choose this nice skin color over here. Again, our flow is at 10%. We've got a nice soft brush. And we're just going to softly brush along her skin where we see any red or blue color cast. Along her knuckles there where we've got that purplish tone. Let's just make our brush a little bit smaller so we can get in here around the wedding ring. On the bottom of her arm. And we can leave a little bit of the blue tone there because it would naturally be reflecting up off of her dress. But I'm going to just sample some of this arm color here. We'll take away some of that redness for her as well. Let's work, there's a little bit of discoloration on her legs, so we'll just, while we're in here, we'll just go in and even that up as well. Make it more neutral. And on her neck here, and that shoulder. Perfect. Looks great. Finally, we want to go over and work on the daughter. So let's do her in her own layer as well. I like to separate everything out into their own layer. I'll just label that daughter so that you can, if you need to go back in and do any adjustments, you can easily find where you are working. So again, with our eyedropper tool, let's select a nice skin tone, maybe from about here. And with our soft brush, we're going to go in, oh, we forgot, again, we've got to put it on. From normal, we've got to select color mode. And make sure we're on daughter's layer. And we're just going to brush that softly. Along her skin. Maybe make that brush a little bit smaller. Get her fingers there. And for this arm, let's sample some of her skin tone there. Get that red color cast off there. Just in case there's any on her neck, we'll just hit that as well too. Dad's fingers down here, we missed that. It's a little bit, looking a little bit red underneath, so we'll just correct that a little bit as well. And there you go. You can toggle that on and off and just see the changes in particular along her arm where we just unified that skin tone a little bit. Great. Well, there we have it. We'll just group these all together so I can show you the changes that we made from beginning to end. And we'll just call that color corrections, put them in a group, and if we toggle that on and off, we can see we went from this to this, from this and to that. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to leave me a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.